Alrighty, there we go. We are live, Stochastic, talking a little MLB Saturday slate. We're going to go game by game quickly because all three sites are doing different main slates. They do not align at all. FanDuel is doing a 4 o'clock main slate. FanDuel is doing a 6:40 main slate. Yahoo's doing a 4 o'clock main slate. DraftKings was going to do a 1 o'clock main slate, but those games got canceled because of Tropical Storm Ophelia. So we're starting with the 2 o'clock games, and we're just going to plow through. It's all over the place, and we have some weather issues as well. But let's jump off here. We're sponsored by Owner's Box. We'll talk about them. Also have a really good deal here for promo code Red Zone to get in and try the Stochastic lineup generator for just $9.99 for your first week. That includes the main slate as well as all primetime showdown games. Promo code Red Zone. Anaheim at Minnesota. Potential for rain here. Looks like there's going to be rain in the afternoon. Hopefully they get this game in. Matt, you've got Kenny Rosenberg. I was looking him up quickly here. Not exciting. A lot of walks. 28 years old. Had a cup of coffee last year. No great shakes. On the other side, you have Sonny Gray going against this dilapidated offense that is the Angels, aside from Nolan Schonell, who had like a 25 or 26 game hitting streak. No more bright spots here for the Halos. What do you got for our first game?
Yeah, I think Schonell reached base like you said, like in his first 25 games, which is a record, which is impressive. But aside from that, and even he right now, I mean, he's not hitting for power. You're not worried about anyone in this lineup. We're starting to get to that territory in the MLB season where like you kind of have to watch out for teams with nothing to play for. For instance, Minnesota today, they clinched the playoffs last night. So not sure what kind of lineup they're going to run out today.
Oh, it's going to be the hangover lineup. You know that.
It will be the hangover lineup. I don't know who exactly will be in that lineup. They're already missing guys. Like Correa's already out. Obviously, Buxton's already out. So not exactly sure what they're going to do there. But Rosenberg's not good, and they're going to be really cheap. So I think, Minnesota's offense looks really good here. So does Sonny Gray, coming in third in our top pitcher tool, projected to be third in ownership. He's in a great spot against the Angels here. Lopez struggled for like an inning yesterday. Other than that, he was pretty dominant. They're not going to send Gray out for 110 pitches today, but you're probably not going to see that from anyone. So I think Gray looks good here. Not like an auto lock or anything, but if he's your SB1, I think you could do a lot worse.
All right, we'll continue along. Colorado at Chicago. Another chance of a little bit of weather here. It looks like it's going to be okay. It's cooler in the low 70s. There's going to be a little bit of wind coming in from right field. Chris Flexen still kicking around the league. Mariners finally gave up on him. He's with the Rockies, but you got to give him credit. He reinvented himself in the KBO after failing with the Mets. Managed to get a couple contracts here and was a serviceable pitcher. He's going against Marcus Stroman. Forever the fantasy tease. Just nothing exciting to say about him other than he is going against the Rockies, who have just been absolutely dreadful for the last few years against righties, particularly on the road. How are you feeling about this game? Mostly weather safe in this one.
Yeah, compared to some other spots, this one looks pretty good. This is a tricky one to talk about just because Stroman is starting today. He hasn't started in a while. He's actually been coming out of the bullpen, so I'm not exactly sure how stretched out he is. He's not like crazy expensive, but he's not cheap either. It's obviously a good spot against Colorado. Really struggle to like prioritize Stroman, just given the fact that we don't know how long he's going to pitch here. But the Cubs bats look really good. You talked about Flexen. He's not like, the worst pitcher ever, but he's certainly not good. Good spot for Chicago here, assuming the weather is at least decent for hitting. They're number one in our top stack tool, number one in ownership. Nothing looks really out of line there. They look good. They're expensive, so it's, decently hard to get there. I actually think their ownership might pick up more like once we get, one or two of these other games crossed off, if that happens. But as of right now, the Cubs look really good.
Yep. So the Cubs are holding on to that final National League wild card spot. They're 1 game behind the Diamondbacks, 1 game ahead of the Marlins, 1.5 ahead of the Reds. So clearly the Cubbies will be trying. No chance to get the Central. Well, technically, if they win their next 8 and Milwaukee loses their next 8, I think they have the tiebreaker to get to the National League Central, but that's probably not going to happen here. So Cubbies, well, let's put a pin in those for the early slate. We'll have time. Again, this is going to be the first wave of games is the 2:00 games, since those 1:00 ones were postponed in New York and in Washington. Continuing along here, Philadelphia, another weather issue, a lot of winds, 20 to 40 miles an hour coming in from right field. Now that 40 is going to be gusts, but this is Tropical Storm Ophelia is moving up. It's in North Carolina right now, and it's marching its way up the East Coast. So we'll see if they're going to cancel this game or not. Keep your eye on your favorite DFS weather resources. We're going to assume it plays for our analysis here. You have Jose Quintana going against the Phillies, Zach Wheeler going against his former squad. It looks like his former squad finally gave up on Dan Vogelbach, former All-Star Dan Vogelbach, but we've been seeing Mark Vientos in the lineup with some light tower power. I wonder what took him so long to switch, and I love Vogelbach. He led me to the one and only stochastic, we were Awesome back then, home run contest. Among the hosts, because I picked him more often than not, and it worked out that year. How are you feeling about, again, we're going to assume the game plays. How are you feeling about the pitchers?
Right. Like, we don't know about the weather. It looks like right now it's iffy, but I'm no meteorologist, so I'm not going to speak on that. Assuming the game is good to go. Wheeler is right there with Woodruff as the best pitcher on the slate. Similar spots. He's cheaper than Woodruff. So I think those two guys are like your 1A and 1B with Sonny Gray, the clear third option. Wheeler looks great here, only 11K. You know, the Mets aren't a lineup that you go out of your way to pick on, but they're certainly not a lineup you're scared to go against either. The bottom of their lineup is pretty weak right now. They don't have a ton of strikeouts, but it's not a slate loaded with top-end pitching either. So I think Wheeler looks really good. He's number 1 in our top pitcher tool, number 1 in ownership. Makes sense all the way around, assuming, of course, this game plays.
You looking at any bats? Probably a few against Quintana, perhaps.
Yeah,
it's an Alec Boehm.
I don't mind using some bats against Quintana. The only thing I'll say is that they're middle of the pack in top stack in our top stack tool. They're coming in with leverage, like they're not getting ownership, but they are really expensive, the most expensive team on the slate. So I get it. The Phillies are really good. They're a team I go to often when they're not getting love. I'm not sure today, though, just because it's not like Quintana is a gas can. You know, he's a perfectly fine pitcher. He doesn't give up a ton of power, and they're really expensive. It's not like they're facing a guy I want to go out of my way to target, and they're expensive. They're really expensive and also facing like an okay pitcher. So hard for me to prioritize them here, but that said, they're not going to get any ownership.
All right. You know what's kind of fun? Actually, we're going to take a minute here to look at this. We've got the Odd Shopper. We've got a little deal going on here. So let me kind of show you what is out there. So Odd Shopper here is the stochastic premium tool that allows you to shop odds. This is turned on, so I have the premium access. You can see that we sort you can sort by the best bets that are presenting the most value. So what this does is multiple things. One, it looks across all of the wagers, compares them to other lines, and presents the best line here. It also shows you, because obviously we're not projecting the Nottingham Forest goals, but it's looking at all the lines across various sports books, and it's saying where the best deal is. And what it's doing is it's saying where are the odds and how are they coming in. You can see how long the bet has been available at this particular price. These are constantly moving and changing, so you usually want to get in early, but when there's a lot more uncertainty. You can also sort this by leagues quickly, so I like to look at baseball. We can look at the player props, and then you can even filter it down to what types do you want. Say you like to look more at home runs, always fun to look at. You can see what's out there. You've got right now, let's resort this. You have Jack Sawinski looking like a decent 18% expected value. or 18% ROI boost. You can see his odds here are plus 680. That's the payout. His true odds, in other words, the likelihood of him or De La Cruz getting a home run, is plus 560. Alec Boehm popping up here. So these are some interesting things to check out. But that is Odd Shopper. There's a whole lot of other tools that are involved with this. It also has parlay builders. It goes over the pick'em sites, etc. But key thing you want to know, pop on in here, 70% off your first month or your first week. Your choice. Promo code Let's Go. But that is, I stop there every day to look at different things. So I enjoy it as well. Oops, I guess I wasn't sharing the screen. Now you guys can see it. But you guys can check that out. Again, here's how you sort the bets. You can find the expected value. You can filter on bet types. You can clear things out quickly if you didn't want to get rid of home runs. It'll take the filter back to all the different bets. We can look at different leagues, etc. So a lot of fun over there. All righty, let's get back to the content here. Oh boy, Detroit and Oakland. We're going to talk about the Motor City Kitties in a positive light here, Matt. Didn't think that was going to happen, did you? But on occasion, they do tickle our fancy. They're going against Joe Boyle, who was part of the Cincinnati Reds, came over for Sam Mole at the trade deadline. My notes say that Boyle is a modern-day Ebby Calvin, Nuke, Lelouch. Why? Because he projects for 10 strikeouts per 9 innings and 6 walks per 9 innings. Yikes. He just rears back and throws. So that could be fun. You've got Torkelson, Kerry Carpenter. Those are real bats. Matt Vierling, Zach McKinstry. They're going to be at the top lineup. It's a road game. They're going to probably get 5 at-bats. Miggy has 2 extra base hits in his last 13 games. But he has 4 multi-hit games in that span.
He got hurt yesterday.
Yeah, one last hurrah for him. What do you think? What do you think about the Motor City Kitties in a positive light here, Matt?
I mean, we're not going to talk about them in a much stronger light all year. I'm not sure if we have. You're right on with Boyle. I mean, we're not exactly sure what to expect here, but how often do you see Detroit second in our top stack tool on? It's not like the biggest slate in the world, but it's not a tiny slate either. So I think Detroit looks really good. They're projected to be they're second behind only Oakland as far as top value stacks go. They look really good here. I mean, it's not going to be a surprise to me if Boyle actually pitches decent because it's Detroit, but all things considered, relatively speaking, Detroit looks much better than they usually do. And it's not a good ballpark for hitting, but much prefer Oakland during the day than opposed to at night. So I think Detroit looks really, really good here. No weather concerns, which is nice. So a lot to like about the Motor City Kitties in this spot.
Yeah, we talk about them, or when I say we, the royal we, in my article that I write every day, free over there on the Stochastic homepage. You guys got to go over there and check that out. Not enough people are taking advantage of this article. So we've got a free article every single day breaking down the top stacks, top pitchers, and then I also do one for every primetime game for the NFL, and that covers both teams by position as well as a full player pool ranking. Again, these are free for you on the homepage at Stochastic. I see Humboldt asking, when does the lineup generator start kicking out lineups? We need to have all the tools updated before it goes off. Usually that will be around somewhere between 11 and 12 o'clock, I think is usually when they're done. We've already got top stacks. Tool projections are up, but then they've got to do some of the stuff on the back end to get those ready, but it'll be good to go probably before the show is over, would be my guess for that. Saturdays and Sundays a little bit different just because the games are earlier, but not to fear. You've got 4 hours before first pitch. We'll get him up there. Promise. And if you don't, come after me on Twitter. I say that in a nice way. Let me know because I'll go rattle some cages, right? Make sure it gets done for that. Would you consider, it looks like Joey Wentz is going on the other side here. Now, considering we've lost a couple games with weather, we really got to consider Wentz, I think, as an SP2. There's a chance he could have an opener in front of him because I'm seeing a couple different things, but it looks like he is at least going to be the bulk guy. What are your thoughts here on Wentz against the Athletics?
I think the points you made ring true here. It's not like you're looking at Wentz and being like, oh, he's a pitcher I need to roster today. But a lot of weather concerns, not great pitching options. He's in a safe ballpark, without those concerns. He's, projected to be right in line with a couple other guys as our top value pitcher on the slate. He's probably getting too much ownership, considering how likely he is to be a top 2 pitcher. But, man, it's not like this is one where, similar to the other side, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets hit around a little bit because he's not very good, but neither is Oakland. And so given the other bats that we want to roster today, Wentz looks decent at 6,200.
It's so funny that this happened the last time these two teams played each other for the series. All of a sudden you're looking at the pitching. We never look at pitchers from this team. Well, I guess Tariq Skubal and Eduardo Rodriguez we'd look at, but this is just hilarious. Hilarious. All right, we have a really good pitcher in our next game. That would be Brandon Woodruff. He is in Miami taking on the Marlins. Milwaukee scored 16 runs last night, 18 runs. At one point in the 5th inning, everybody had a hit, everybody had a run scored, and everybody except for Willy Adames had an RBI. One hell of a game. Up and down lineup. That was not on the main slate. That was a 6:40 start. So today we've got Woodruff. This will be his 9th start since returning from a shoulder strain. He strained his subscapular muscle, or I can't remember if it's a muscle or a tendon, but he missed the better part of 4 months. They didn't bring him back until he was fully ready. From the jump, he was ready to go 90 pitches. In his 8 starts, he has a 2.13 ERA, a 3.6 FIP, a 1.55 batting average against, and 56 strikeouts across 50 innings. However, he is at an apex salary today, $11,008 on DK, $11,005 on FanDuel, $5,600 on Yahoo. The Brewers basically need to win one of their next games, or they need the Cubs to lose one of their next 8 games, and they will clinch the division, the National League Central. I would expect 90 or so pitches as a maximum today for Woodruff, also, or 6 innings, whichever comes first, and he's been pretty efficient. But there's no need to risk him at all because they've clinched the wild card at least, and are probably going to get the division here. That means they're still going to have to go through the Dodgers or Atlanta. They're going to need their pitchers. So I'm a little nervous about Woodruff, but he is the best option on this. We're just paying for probably a 75% workload today. But we've lost some games, Matt. We don't have a lot of choices here. Do those price tags those really just jump off the page, don't they? Those are some of the highest prices we've seen. That's like Spencer Strider when he was front running the Cy Young Award odds prices here.
My only counter would be, and I don't know, but he probably has 1 or 2 more starts after today.
1 more after today.
Okay. So, they're not going to push him and strain him to go, over what his normal max is. He's going to be under that, but I also don't think they're going to want to get him out of rhythm. So sure, probably a little bit less than what we're usually dealing with. But as you mentioned, he is an ace. He's right there with Wheeler for me as the top pitcher on the slate. I prefer Wheeler just given the price tags, but I think you could do a lot worse than going to Woodruff here as a pivot, especially if the weather gets, worse in Philadelphia. So another spot where we don't have any of those concerns. And on a slate like today where we have issues all over the place, I don't think it's crazy to spend a little bit more on that security, knowing that, yeah, he might not have his full workload, but weather's not going to be a concern. He's in a good spot in a good ballpark. You don't need the ultimate upside on this slate.
All right. On the other side, you have who is it? Jesus Luzardo today. 3.6 implied run total there for the Brewers. I think they used up all their runs yesterday. Because it's a lefty, that means that Yelich probably won't be starting today. They've been sitting him against lefties recently. Sal Frelick isn't going to start, or he'll be well down the lineup if he does. Tyrone Taylor in this same spot against the lefty in his last game had 2 home runs. Of course, he was a little bit dinged up as well. And Josh Donaldson somehow has found a 5th chance, but he's going to the postseason. What are you thinking about the Brew Crew here?
Yeah, always a little bit hesitant when teams go nuts the day before, and it's not like Luzardo's a gas can. I'll push back on the Yelich thing a little bit. He was hurt since September 8th.
Okay.
He only played in 1 game since then. So yesterday was, I think, the first game he's played, or maybe it was the second game he played. Maybe he's out just because they're facing a tough lefty, but I have no idea. I think Luzardo himself is probably more interesting to me than the Brewers. Miami's another team in the thick of the playoff race, and it's just a product of having these games, washed out. I'm already struggling to think about what to do with Wheeler just because the weather there does look bad. But if he's out of play, I think that, Luzardo all of a sudden becomes a really good look for similar reasons that Woodruff does. He's not as good of a pitcher. He's not in as good of a spot, but he's $2K cheaper in the same ballpark. He's a guy we know has strikeout upside. So I think I'm more on the pitching side of this game all the way around. How about you?
No, those are good call outs for sure. And just wrapping my head around a sub-8 run total, it's kind of funny. We don't get those very often here these days, but that's it. The weather's cooling off. Obviously this one's inside. So it definitely favors the pitching. So I would agree with you. And looking for one-offs is a little tricky. Luzardo, he's going to be a frontline starter for years to come. It's just that as he hits his innings cap and learning curve and yada 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 baseball platitudes, he'll get there. But
he's just not as consistent as we would like right now.
Yeah. So that's the one knock against him. But as I went down the litany of issues with the Brewers offense, how did they score so many runs last night? Is the question. I see someone is asking for Marcus Stroman estimated pitch count. So did he go to the minors?
He was pitching out of the bullpen. He was hurt, so he's been pitching out of the bullpen.
Okay, there we go.
They said he's fully stretched out-ish today. I'd still be hesitant. He hasn't started in a while. He's not cheap. I don't think you can really play Stroman today, personally.
Yeah, you are correct. Yeah, he did not go to the minors. He was out from the all of August, and then he came back on the 15th. Pitched on the 15th and the 16th of September. 31 and 13 pitches. Yeah, I would say you probably get about 65, 70 from him today. Prior to the injury, he was regularly going into the 80s or 90s for pitching.
You just to take one more deeper look at Luzardo, he did pitch against Milwaukee recently, 2 starts ago. He struggled. But outside of that, in his past 5 starts, and he's had some tough matchups, the Braves, the Dodgers, the Rays, and the Padres. I mean, his lowest in those 4 starts is 19 DK points. He's got 27 or above in 3 of those, including against Atlanta, the Dodgers, and San Diego. So I'm not playing him because of that, but we know the upside's there with this guy.
No, that's fair. Which reminds me, Woodruff 2 starts ago, complete game shutout against these Marlins.
Yeah, he was awesome. Right? I used him that day. Got into a little bit of trouble in the 9th, but he was just, he's really, really good. I'm a big Woodruff fan.
All right. That was a good little detour there, but well worth it. A couple more. Let's see. We've got 2 more games for the 4:00 action. You've got Toronto at Tampa Bay. No weather here because I'm looking out the window, and it's beautiful today in the St. Pete Beach area. And, of course, Tropicana Field is covered, so we don't ever have to worry about that. You've got Hinyon Ryu and Zach Little on the mound opposing each other. Not a lot of strikeouts from either of these guys. They're SP2s, but I'm thinking we might want to look for some of the offenses here. Ryu doesn't give up a whole lot of power, but Tampa's going to do everything they can to get as many right-handed bats in the lineup as possible. Break this one down for us. It's weather safe, and we don't have too many more of those on this slate.
No, it's like Oakland and Pittsburgh. Oakland and Detroit, excuse me. We just know that the weather's, pretty good here, relatively compared to other spots. The pitching here is interesting. I agree with you. I view these guys as SP2s. I've been a Ryu fan in the past. Today, it seems like if you're getting to one of these guys, it's got to be Littell, though, just at $2K cheaper. Neither of them are in good spots. Toronto's good. Tampa's good. Both these teams have power. I'm not in love with going a little here, but he is 6,700. So I think that's the case for him. He's, projects to be a top value pitcher 20% of the time. So there's something to be said there. I guess for Ryu, he's too expensive. Now, Arozarena's probably not playing today. I know Brandon Lau's out for 4 to 6 weeks. So a little bit of a watered down Tampa lineup, but still Ryu is not a guy that they let throw a ton of pitches. He doesn't strike out a lot of guys. Just really hard for me to make the case for him here. And then Littell, like I said, if you need a really cheap SP2, he works. I think he's in the mix of like the Wentz, Boyles of the world even. I do think that just given the matchup, Wentz looks the best. He's the cheapest. But again, we're talking about pitchers that are inconsistent, so it wouldn't shock me in the least if Littell outscores Wentz even in a tougher spot today.
How wild is it that Tampa Bay, with all of the injuries, they've lost essentially their whole starting rotation and several key players through off-field insanity to injuries on the offensive side. They have the 4th best record in all of baseball. They're one game behind the Dodgers, and then they're a game and a half behind Baltimore for the American League best record. They're going to end up with the wild card, which sucks because of their 8.5 games ahead of the next closest wild card team. It's like not even close. I think they need to change how they seed the wild card.
I don't disagree.
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough. All righty. Last game of the 4:00 slate coming up next. This one, there are some weather concerns in Boston. You do have Nick Pivetta, very cheap Nick Pivetta, 7,700 here on DK. Looks good against Chicago, weather aside. There is going to be wind in the 10 to 20 mile an hour range coming in from center field. The White Sox project for 4 runs. You've got Dylan Cease, who ceases to be a dominant starter here. What do you got in the battle of the Sox?
I think that Pivetta looks like – I think you could make the case that price considered he's the top pitcher on the slate. Given that $7,700 price tag in the spot he's in against a weak White Sox lineup, sure, I prefer Wheeler, Woodruff, Gray, and Luzardo in terms of just pure skill set, but all those guys are about $2K more expensive. They're all in tougher spots. So I think Pivetta looks really good here. You don't feel safe with him ever because he's the type of guy that can pitch really well against a good team and then get hit around against a crappy team. So you're never going to get the warm and fuzzies rostering Pivetta, but he's too cheap for the spot he's in. Assuming the weather here stays okay, there's a lot to like about Pivetta here. The ownership's there. He's projected, right in line with the top guys as far as ownership goes, but it makes sense to me. He's just so much cheaper than them. So no arguments there at all. Cease, no thank you. Much tougher spot against Boston. He's more expensive. He hasn't been great this year. I think the case for Cease is strictly an ownership play, but there's just other places I'd rather go to get different on this slate.
Yep. Let's see. Most of the American League has been eliminated. The wild card's going to go down to the wire, but Boston's now been eliminated from the postseason. Let's see. So
and the teams are playing each other too, which is weird. You've got Toronto and Tampa, and then Seattle and Texas. Yeah, exactly.
So going to be crazy. Cray. All righty. That gets us to the main slate. We're going to do the 6:40 game, Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. That is where FanDuel is starting their slate. DraftKings is going with the 4 game starting at 7 o'clock. We have promo code REDZONE. Promo code REDZONE. You can see it in the upper corner there. That is to get the stochastic NFL lineup generator for just $9.99 for your first week. That is the main slate for DraftKings and FanDuel, as well as the 3 primetime slates for DraftKings and FanDuel. $9.99 a week. Remember, if you're not into the sims, this is using a lot of the simming technology behind the scenes, looking for correlations, ownership, upside, etc. It's going to build you good lineups. We know by hand we can sometimes build bad lineups because we have all sorts of preconceived notions about different things because we know better. You know what? The lineup generator knows best. So check that out. Good way to get in and dabble with some fun. Just $9.99 for your first week. And that's promo code RedZone. You also get access to the Discord with that. Okay, Matt. Solo game here. FanDuel only. Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. Bailey Falter. Yeah, not really excited by him, particularly against lefties in Great American Ballpark. Connor Phillips. You could talk me into him going against the Pirates. We did have Jack Sawinski is popping on the Odd Shopper as one of the better home run wagers right now. How are you feeling about Cincinnati today? And remember when they looked frisky and there was some postseason talk? That was a fun stretch. That feels like a lifetime.
It feels like forever ago. You're seeing a lot of people tweet about De La Cruz. He certainly has fallen off. I mean, the drop that he has experienced from when he first came up is pretty real. So don't feel that great for him right now, but hopefully he can turn it around next year. As far as this game goes, kind of hard to talk about just because it's not on the DK slate, but I'm with you. As far as pitching goes, you could talk me into Connor Phillips. Like, I don't know too much about him, but he's 7,800 on a slate without great pitching options at home against Pittsburgh. Like, he looks decent here. I don't think he looks amazing, but he looks decent. And I think that if you ended up with Phillips as your guy on FanDuel, you could do a lot worse. And then as far as the bats go, I do like Cincinnati here. I don't think Bailey Falter is good at all. You will have some pinch hit risk because he's a lefty and they'll probably bring some guys off the bench. So, know that going in. But the Reds look good here. Great ballpark, facing a not good pitcher, the team that's fighting for their playoff lives. They're second in our top stack tool, third in ownership. It lines up well here. I think if you're playing FanDuel, since he looks like a team you can certainly target.
Yeah, and the nice thing is Tyler Stevenson, 2,400 batting cleanup. We don't have to play catchers. I know, but he's like a DH/first baseman when he's at the plate. So don't let that positional eligibility be an issue for you. Go ahead and click away on that one if you were playing on the blue site. Hit that like button. We do appreciate that. And I want to remind you guys about the Stochastic Avatar contest. If you go to stochastic.com/avatar, download the Stochastic Avatar, upload that to your DFS site of choice, finish top 3, first, second, or third in any contest with at least 5,000 entries, and tweet your screenshot with the Stochastic Avatar in it to Stochastic HOF on Twitter. And guess what? You'll get 30 days of Stochastic Premium for free. So go check that out. It's an easy way to get in behind the paywall. Now, I got to remind you, that's first, second, or third, no ties. Not like the Millie Maker. Which was the last one? Was that the Thursday night Millie Maker that there was like 100 people won on DK?
Yeah.
So that we got like $10,000. That doesn't count as first, second, or third. That counts as top 100 finish. So fine print. We have to put the fine print.
Yeah.
All right, so now we are back to the final 4 games of Saturday. No more weather concerns. These are going to be on all the sites, all the contests. We have Seattle in Texas taking on the Rangers. You have Logan Gilbert on the mound going against Jordan Montgomery. So Montgomery is having one hell of a season. He was traded from St. Louis to the Rangers around the deadline. His season averages 3.4 ERA, 1.2 WHIP, basically identical either with in the National League there or in the American League. So the consistency is nice. The only thing we got against him, 8 strikeouts per 9 inning. That's it. But Seattle has not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 projected hitters if backup catcher Luis Torrens is in today that strike out 28% of the time or more against lefties this year. Seattle will boost him to over a strikeout per inning. So I really like Monty today. What do you have for Monty? And would you go with Logan Gilbert? As a Mariner fan, I can't rationally think about this because Texas too many times Texas has broken my heart.
I don't like Montgomery quite as much as you do, it sounds like, but I do think that he looks like arguably the top pitcher on the slate, just given what we're working with. Not great options tonight. And the good pitching options are in tough matchups like Montgomery against Seattle, Logan Gilbert in Texas against the Rangers. Much harder for me to get on Gilbert just because of the price difference. Montgomery's $1,500 cheaper. Gilbert looks good in tournaments, though, especially with a guy like JP France projected for a ton of ownership. Now, I get it because he's only 8,100 against the Royals. But even in a tough matchup, like on a raw points perspective, give me Gilbert over France all day. So if you can make that work, I don't hate the idea of pairing the pitchers in this game and trying to find some cheaper offenses. Optimally, it looks like Montgomery's the guy, though. I mean, just looking at the numbers, it looks like if you're playing like one optimal lineup tonight, it's France and Montgomery, right?
Two hitters from each side that scare you the most.
From Seattle, it's got to be Julio and Teoscar against the lefty.
He is a phenomenal hitter against lefties.
Yeah. And then from the Rangers side, they're actually back to full health and they've been hot recently. So, I think that you can go pretty much anywhere in the lineup. I'm going to go with Adolis Garcia and Marcus Semien. And it might seem like cheating because those are two of their better hitters, but they've also got Corey Seager, Josh Young.
They've got three other all-stars we didn't mention.
Right. They really had cooled down a lot, and I was using them a bunch, and they've gotten hot again recently. So, like I said, I don't love Gilbert here. It's just that we don't have a lot of good pitchers on this slate, and he's not getting the ownership. So that's the case for him. But I think that you're right. It's really hard to just get there based on the price and the matchup.
All right. Moving along here, we're going over to Houston. We have the Royals going against JP France. I think France is someone we can attack with the Royals. Here's why. He's at a career high 150.2 innings. He's a rookie, obviously. Even getting an extra day of rest between starts for the last couple of weeks, he has allowed 23 runs. I believe 2 were unearned in his last 23 and a third innings, 7 home runs in that time frame. Looks like he's sputtering down the stretch. So I'm comfortable going to the Royals. Houston bats. Can we say good things about Jordan Loss? Oh, did you know he leads the league with 102 home runs allowed over the last 3 seasons?
He's not surprising at all.
League leader, but he leads the league, right? Isn't that good? Phrasing.
I don't even think he's the worst pitcher in the world. He's certainly not good, but I mean, you've got Houston on the other side.
Yeah.
France is an interesting talking point because I'm with you. He's not a guy I roster hardly ever. He's not a very good DFS pitcher. He doesn't strike out a ton of guys. He's getting a ton of ownership today simply because of the price point and the matchup. I hate going to guys like that, but you have to roster 2 pitchers tonight. So, if I say I don't like France, then where am I going? I'm not sure the answer to that. Based on our tools right now, France is getting way too much love. But so is Kansas City. So it might be one where I just kind of skip both sides and hope that it's a median outcome type of game. But again, you got to roster 2 pitchers. You got to roster, there's only 8 offenses to choose from. So it puts you in kind of a tricky situation. I understand the France ownership based on all that, but I am more on your side where I'd rather pick on him.
Yeah, and I'm on your side because I'll be playing FanDuel tonight because I want that extra game and I only want to have to roster 1 pitcher. So,
yeah.
And I love the 2 pitcher sites, but the overlap tonight's just going to be nuts.
Well, those are times I much prefer DraftKings to FanDuel usually, but when there's either all pitching options I don't like and you still have to roster 2 of them, or one guy that really stands out over the others, I don't mind playing on FanDuel.
Usual suspects there for Houston: Alvarez, Tucker, Bregman, Altuve, Chas McCormick has some nice power there towards the bottom of the lineup. And then on the KC side, focus should be on Bobby Witt, MJ Melendez, and Nelson Velazquez, who when he connects, has a lot of power when he connects.
Right.
We're going to be out of here in about next 7 or 8 minutes because we have college football live before lock coming up after us on the Stochastic YouTube channel. Same channel, different YouTube video. That will be Matt Gajewski and Ben Rossa breaking everything down. We talked about the Stochastic Avatar. We talked about promo code Red Zone. You can see that above me. We're going to talk about Owner's Box because they are the presenting sponsor of the show. So key things you need to know about Owner's Box. 1, when you sign up there, you want to put in $10. 2, as soon as you have made your deposit and played, you'll get a promo code from them that gets you 30 days, or probably 1 week. It was 30 days. You should have acted on that before. 1 week of the Stochastic Sims Max package. The other thing that they're going to do is they're going to give you a $5 Lightning ticket and another $5 contest ticket. So you're basically putting in your $10. They're giving you $10 and a week of the Stochastic Sims package. Jump on in there, come in through our link. It's in the YouTube description here. They will also give you a deposit match up to $500. There is a playthrough on that. It's a 4% drip rate, meaning you got to play through it 25 times to get that. But that's well worth it. That's reduced rake. And their contests not filling right now because as many new sites have learned, overlay is probably the best advertisement. So check that out. That is Owner's Box. We also have some Owner's Box specific content. The other thing you want to remember about their football, Superflex. They have a Superflex spot. Guess what? Our Sims handle that. Good times ahead. Good times ahead.
Man, I think I heard like Lofty talking about this a couple days ago about running a Chief stack with Justin Fields and the Superflex. Like that sounds dreamy.
There are some interesting ways to go. It definitely is. It's opening up. I mean, there used to be sites that had multiple quarterbacks on them. It's been Fantasy Feud and Fantasy Aces were the last two to have that option, and they've both been gone for 5 years or longer now. So it's been a while. You do get Superflex on the DK college football product, but that's a little different than the NFL because college football, you almost assuredly want to put in another quarterback there. That's not always the case in the NFL because of how they've adjusted their pricing to account for this. So it's a whole new puzzle.
Yeah,
check
sure.
Check that. We'll have some fun with that. 2 more games to go. Cardinals at San Diego. Jake Woodford going against Nick Martinez. How the hell do the Cardinals only have a 3.7 implied run total? I thought Martinez was more of a, I don't know, gas can's the right word, but back of the rotation starter. That's a pretty.
I agree with you, but just so you know, Martinez is just listed as the opener here. I'm seeing Pedro Avila be coming in as the probable long relief. Still, I think that the Cardinals' run total is too low, but Arenado's out for the year now. Wilson Contreras is out for the year, so watered down lineup. Tough ballpark.
I knew that I had lost. Contreras went out a few days ago because I had him on a bunch of season-long leagues, but I didn't realize Arenado was out. So, yikes! That means that would be why Jordan Walker was batting cleanup last night.
Yeah, for sure. Just as an aside, and then I'll talk about this game. These are my least favorite MLB slates when you've got only a very minimum amount of games and shitty pitching everywhere. I just do not like these MLB slates because I at least like to feel comfortable and confident in the pitchers I'm rostering. Now, with that being said, everyone's dealing with it. So it's not like, I'm on an island here. Everyone is dealing with the same slate and someone's still going to win all the money. So there's that.
Pedro Avila suddenly becomes an option on DK.
He's projected as the 3rd highest owned pitcher on the slate. I mean, and again, it's not like it has much to do with the other pitching options. It's not like Avila is a guy in himself you're feeling overly confident in, but he's only 7,500. Aside from his start against the Dodgers or his outing against the Dodgers where he got lit up, he's been competent. He's priced right against a watered-down St. Louis lineup. I hate saying this because I'm not an Avila fan, but give me Avila over France all day.
I think that's an excellent call out right there. I hadn't realized our tools were popping on that like that. But, I mean, it makes sense. Just 4 games on DK. So, okay. Interesting. How do you feel about the Padres going against Woodruff?
Usually prefer them against lefties. But they're actually on a hot streak right now, as funny as that is. Won 8 in a row. Still, they're not quite dead yet in the playoff race. Not that that matters from a DFS perspective, but they look pretty good here. Woodford, not a guy you're afraid to pick on. St. Louis bullpen, certainly not afraid of that. They're getting too much ownership according to our tools. They're projected to be the highest owned team on the slate. I prefer Houston. Houston's more expensive. I prefer the Dodgers. The Dodgers are much more expensive. San Diego looks like a great place to go for fillers. It looks like a great place. You probably want to get a lot of pieces for cash games.
All right. See Clayton Eskew saying I compared De La Cruz to Puig, or said he'd be the next Puig. No, I said he reminded me of when Puig made his debut, and literally everything he did was electric for about 2 weeks. Puig continued to have a pretty good career.
I don't think that's like that bad.
He's out on De La Cruz. I mean,
people comparing De La Cruz. I'm saying I don't even think that I know what you're saying. Puig was like that electric character. That's what you were comparing him to. Yes. But even on just like how good they are, like I don't think that is that off. You've heard some people compare, De La Cruz to like Tatis when he first came up. Like, no, he is not that guy.
Yeah. So, but I still think he's going to be a good. I wish he was on one of my two favorite teams.
Same.
The Nationals or the Mariners could use him. So
people forget, people are younger now too. Obviously, me and you remember, like when Puig first came up, there was a ton of hype around him.
Yeah. It was wild. That, and because I remember, I also compared that to Steven Strasburg's first start.
Yeah,
when he had the 14th strike, it was just like watch that on TV, and it was just like, oh my god, this is like felt like playoff baseball or whatever. So, all right, final game of the night. We are in Los Angeles. We have the San Francisco Giants going against the Dodgers. Clayton Kershaw is on the mound. Clayton Kershaw, be careful with his pitch count. My guess is he's going to go about 80 pitches. He is in maintenance mode. There's no reason to risk him at all in this matchup. Dodgers they're not going to catch Atlanta, and they're not going to be caught by Milwaukee. So they're kind of locked in. What do you think? 80 pitches, 6 innings? And we've seen this year after year with Kershaw. So this is a little different than getting him out of rhythm or blah, 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 whatever. This is more there. Plus, then they're not going to be in the wild card, so they're going to have a few extra days off at the end of the season. This is just keep them in the routine, right?
Definitely, I agree with you. I think that you're going to see 70 to 80 pitches would be my guess. That said, he's in play here. Yep. Even with that, our top pitcher tool loves him. Like he is the highest in our tools. He's coming in like 4th in ownership. I'm not sure I buy that discrepancy, but let's just say we get 75 pitches from Kershaw. You don't have a lot of leeway and you don't have a lot of margin for error there, but you telling me in 75 pitches, Kershaw couldn't be the top pitcher on a slate with, JP France as the chalk pitcher and Pedro Vila. Like he's in play still. You're paying up for it. And, you're not going to get the score that you normally want from an 11K Kershaw. You don't need that on this slate though. So again, I don't feel great about it. And there's certainly, like I said, like not a lot of margin for error, but just given our other options, he is far and away the best pitcher on the slate. So that said, like he's in play for me, and not much more than that though.
All right. Ross Stripling, remember me game? Remember guys, I used to pitch for you game.
He was good for them.
He had some moments. He was 6 innings special, right? No more, no less. 6 innings. Do we get a little bit of a watered down lineup here from the Dodgers with nothing to play for? Are they going to start giving regulars days off here and there down the stretch? You think?
I would be surprised.
Muncy was out last night. I can't remember who was. Oh, because it was he's good against lefties, but it was Manaea last night. So
here's a question for you. Just looking at this slate, I think this is like a good decision point. Between Stripling and Lyles, who would you play if you had to? And then between the Dodgers and the Astros, who would you play between them?
I would take Stripling and the Astros.
So would I. I do think that's like the Dodgers in our tools are coming in with a lot of leverage. Now they're still projected to be, around 10% owned. But you look at the other teams on this slate, they're not getting the ownership that they should. From a tournament perspective, I like the Dodgers a lot based on ownership, but just from what I expect to happen, I agree with you. Give me Houston against Lyles.
Home run call for today?
Doesn't matter the slate. I'm going to go with Bobby Witt.
Bobby Witt. Very nice. Very nice. I'll go for some fancy play style points. Nelson Velasquez. Same game.
Oh, wow. Love it.
We talked a little owner's box, $500 deposit match up to two $5 free tickets when you sign up through our link, and 1 full week of Stochastic Sims Max package for the NFL. You got to put in $10. They're going to have overlay. Go get it. Go chase that. We talked about promo code REDZONE, $9.99 for your first week of the NFL lineup generator. That gets you both or the main slates on DraftKings and FanDuel, as well as primetime showdown slates, Monday, Thursday, Sunday. And then what else we have? We had the Stochastic Avatar promo, 30 days of Stochastic Premium. Follow the rules. Follow the rules. Humboldt says Jake Rogers is his home run. Okay.
Yeah.
Savvy. But you don't put
those Detroit catchers.
I was going to say Detroit. He could be in the middle of the line. Not the worst call ever. There's
probably will be
from Humboldt.
He probably will be in the middle of that lineup today.
Yeah, because it isn't going to be Miggy. He'll be down batting 7th probably again.
Probably. Do you see the A's get hurt? Do you see it before we go? All these teams are like, when Miggy came to Cleveland, they gave him like a
they gave him the gift.
Yeah. Did you see what Oakland gave him?
No.
Oh my God. So these teams, you've seen it. Like, they're giving him elaborate gifts.
Right.
These are major league teams. There's gifts are worth money. The guitar from Cleveland. I can't remember what it was in other places, but the A's got him an $80 bottle of wine.
Seriously?
Yeah, seriously. Like, seriously.
Like, at that point, just do a montage or whatever.
Right? Don't get anything.
Something for the crowd. Declare it Miguel Cabrera Day. Don't give him a gift because that's so cheap.
It's so embarrassing.
Or give him the key to the city or something. Come on.
Anything else.
But did they just go, oh shit, we got to get him something, and that was the best thing they could find in the clubhouse?
Yeah. Run to the store. Go get Miggy a gift.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, with that, we're going to get on out of here. Tune in to College Football Live Before Lock, up in 90 seconds on the Stochastic YouTube channel. You guys can follow Matt on Twitter at Fantasy Tips Matt. I am at EMac DFS. And of course, it is Stochastic _COM. With that, gamers, good luck.